All right, how's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to another Thursday night code and chill. Working on Descent Horizon, the space game. Today I'm wanting to work a little bit on some level stuff. I've been working on the level editor pretty heavily the past few days, whipping it up into shape. And I've made a good amount of progress on it. I can't complain. There's obviously more to do. So for today, I think what I want to do is I want to add the ability to measure distances in the level editor. I think that'll be really useful for like as I'm creating the levels to make sure that like the lander can fit into certain tunnels and stuff like that, because I don't really have that ability right now. So I think that's what we'll focus on first, and then after that, if we have some time, I'm sure we will. I don't think it'll take that long to implement, but those are also usually like the famous last words. I think after that, what I'll probably plan on doing is maybe start actually building a level. I have one that's kind of planned out that I can show in a little bit once we're ready. Basically, it's going to be kind of like the tutorial entry level area. I'm calling it Act 0. It's basically the place where players learn kind of the controls, players learn how the lander behaves, you know, some of the core like game systems and stuff like that. It kind of serves as a point to jumpstart the rest of the story, you know. But yeah, so I think what I'll go ahead, I'll show you guys what I've done on the level editor since the last time, since I think I showed it on the last stream, but I don't think I have. Well, I haven't shown it since then, and I've done some work on it. So I'll show you what's going on here. I think we worked on this last time, the fixing up the file picker, but I've spruced it up a tiny bit. I added the ability to create a new map, which we're actually going to do since we need a new map anyway. We'll call this Act 0.bmap create. So that'll just let us create the actual map. It creates the map file in my assets folder, and then here we go. We have an empty world. Since the last time I showed the level editor, I added these little ticks up here, which just show basically measures of distance, right? Like this point over here being the origin of the world. Then over here we're 1,000 meters. Or 1,000 units, really. I mean, it's meters, but it's 1,000 units to the right, you know, and so on and so forth. And then also, like, from here upwards, same idea. We're moving up, you know, we're down. I have an idea that I think will make this a little bit more natural feeling. Like I want to have almost like a crosshair follow the mouse. If anybody of if any of you have ever used like AutoCAD or something like that, there's like a crosshair. At least when I used AutoCAD when I was studying architecture, there would be a crosshair in AutoCAD, and since it's all like space relational, you know, it's really useful to be able to see, okay, where am I in the world? And I think maybe something like that would be really useful for the level editor. But then yeah, I've been working on adding, there's like, you can select a reference image, and so like let's say we want to use the act 0 map as our reference. Well, there it is. And then we can resize it based off of pixels per unit. Usually this would be based off of, like, let's say I have a texture in the game, right? And I want, let's say my player character, right? It's actually I can probably just show it. Might make a little more sense that way. The astronaut, right? So this is the sprite sheet for the astronaut, but right now it's really big, right? Like if I was to, like, let's say I was gonna model a collider, right, for the astronaut here, well, we're looking at like hundreds of meters per square here, or not hundreds, tens of meters per square here, right? So right now, in world, this texture was loaded in as like 40 meters wide, right? So if I created a collider for the astronaut right now, it would be a 40-meter wide collider, which is way too big, right? But that's why we have like measurement systems, right? So what I happen to know is that the sprite sheet for the astronaut is 32 pixels wide, right? And it being 32 pixels wide doesn't really mean anything by itself. But I get to decide, okay, well, how big is the astronaut, right, in real life? And let's say we say that he's about 2 meters tall, right? He's kind of tall, right? 2 meters is like over 6 feet, but let's say he's a 6-foot tall astronaut. And just to keep things simple, right, he's a meter wide. That, I don't know a lot of people that are a meter wide, but you know, his shoulder width is about a meter wide, at least in the game. Or rather, he himself is not, but his sprite is, and his sprite extends like with his arms extended. So when his arms are extended like that, this is a meter wide, which, you know, I guess that kind of makes sense, right? Anyway, point is, we have 32 pixels to work with, and we want to have a consistent like measurement, so that we don't end up having what's called mixels, where it's like the pixels in the game are different sizes. So what I think, not just I like to do, but I think the average thing that you do in game dev is you pick a scale, right? So that's usually you'll call that pixels per unit, right? So how many pixels are you traveling, right? Like how many pixels make up one unit, right? And the unit doesn't really matter what it is. In this case, the unit is meters, right? So let's say basically we need to figure out, okay, in 1 meter of space in the world, how many pixels do we want to take up that space, right? So what we can say is, all right, well, let's say if I want the astronaut to be about a meter wide, well, if his sprite sheet is 32 pixels, well, then what I'm saying is I have 32 pixels per meter, right? So pixels per unit is basically, it's that measurement. So what I would do to find my pixels per unit value to get this astronaut scaled correctly inside of the world as I'm playing with the level editor is I would do 1 divided by 32, right? Because 1 meter divided by 32 pixels, that's how many pixels I want it to take up. And that gives me something like let me actually do the math. It's like 1 divided by 32, it's 0.03125, right? So what I can do here is I can say 0.03125, right? And then you'll notice that got super tiny. It's centered around the origin point, so I have to like re-zoom in. But you'll notice that the scale is way different now. This is 10 meters across, and each of these boxes is about 1 meter. So if I did my job correctly, the astronaut should fit roughly into one of these boxes, right? His actual sprite sheet is 64 by 64. So realistically, like when he's got his arms all the way out like that, it's gonna fit, you see, like that, like roughly into this shaped grid, because he's like 2 meters wide. So really his chest is about 1 meter wide in the game. Pretty big, like I said, but as long as it looks natural, that's all that really matters, you know. So then if we every time we import a sprite sheet into the engine or into the level editor, if we use the consistent pixels per unit, then we know all of our like assets in the game are going to be correct relative to each other in size. Meaning, like, I'll never have pixels in one place that are bigger than they are in the other place. That solves one problem, right? But then that also means that everywhere that you create art, you have to actually go and make sure that it matches your pixels per unit. So you wouldn't make, for example, a coffee mug and then make it 16 pixels by 16 pixels, because 16 pixels by 16 pixels would be like the size, like half a meter, you know, in game. Like it would be like a quarter of one of these boxes, which is huge, right? So we don't want to do that. Anyway, so today what I want to do is yeah, so I got the reference, import reference stuff working. I also have this is an old concept actually. I also have the ability to like move stuff around. Like for example, if I wanted to move this reference image somewhere else, I can do that just by dragging it, right? But this is good for now. Just get rid of that guy. Okay, so yeah, what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to click somewhere in the world and then click to another spot and then measure the distance between those two spots, right? That way I essentially can measure, like, okay, like if I wanted to see, does this gap right here, is it big enough to fit a lander, right? In my actual level editor, once I actually put it together, I don't have to necessarily like test it in game. I don't have to actually enter the game. I can just go ahead and, like, you know, measure it. You know, obviously you will test it in the game to see how it feels to fly the lander through that and all that, but like at least for like the first pass, we don't want to do that, right? Hey, dobry večer. Tonight I'm dual prompting work on one screen and my game on another screen. Damn, dude. Hey, man, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. Hope you got a good week, brother. Still working? It's pretty late, man. Why? What they got you doing? All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. What I'm thinking is, so I want the measurement. The way that I have my like level editor set up right now is I have a single scene that has two different behaviors. One is the tile edit behavior, and then one is a map edit or collider edit behavior. The collider edit behavior allows you to actually build the colliders for like the terrain and stuff like that, and the tile edit behavior allows you to place the tiles down and, like, you know, decorate the scene or whatnot. But I think the measurement tool, it's probably mostly going to be useful in the collider edit behavior. I feel like I'll probably not use it too much in the tile edit mode. That being said, like, it's one of those kind of tools where I feel like I would kind of want it to be generic, if that makes sense. So I want to see if I can add it to my general flow instead of adding it to just one of the specific behaviors. Yeah, I have a list of 10 things to get done. Can the chatbot do this? Can you make a user story for it? Yep. I know the feeling, man. I get that. Well, best of luck to you, dude. I hope you get all 10 things done. So what I'm looking for here, I have somewhere in my map edit scene where I basically mount some controls, right? Actually, I probably named it something sensible. There you go, controls. So I have, for example, an on mouse move and an on mouse scroll. It doesn't look like I have an on mouse click, right? already registered, at least here. And that's fine. What I'm thinking is I can probably add a on mouse click in here somewhere, and then I'll also need to pair it with like a hotkey. So I'm thinking like the hotkey for measurements, I'll probably make it M, right? So I have a hotkey that I press M, and then it switches me into like this tool ability where I can press in one spot and then press in another spot, and it just measures the distance for me, right? Now, it seems simple enough. The only thing I want to I need to double check on is I'm going to be inside of a collider edit behavior or a tile edit behavior at all times, like or some other behavior that I add in another, like in the future, right, if I need it. The problem is these behaviors can also set up their own controls. So controls, yeah. So this is the collider edit behavior setting up its controls, and it has its own like on mouse click, right? Now, what I need is to make sure that these never fire at the same time. Like if I'm inside of the map edit scene, like measurement mode, the on mouse click here should never trigger any of these other things inside the collider edit behavior or the tile edit behavior. So what I'm thinking is I can have the scene almost put a lock on the mouse click, and honestly I just need a boolean, right? That's just like, is mouse locked or is mouse click, whatever, or allow mouse trigger. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is I need some boolean that's gonna give me the ability to communicate to my behaviors, hey, if you receive a click, ignore it, you know, or do nothing with it, because I'm handling it right in the scene. I think that'll probably be a clean way of doing this, because what I could do is I could like unregister the collider edit behavior and then like restore it afterwards if I really want to, and you know, maybe that's a good approach. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking out loud as I'm going, you know, and that idea popped into my head, and so I'm thinking alternative approach here, right? Instead of storing a flag on the scene and then having each behavior have to listen and see if they're allowed to do certain things, maybe I just have the scene switch the behavior of the input controller. Now, the thing that's a little bit tricky about that, right, is there is not a behavior right now for the collider edit behavior. Or, Jesus, this sounds really confusing. There is not a input behavior that is tied to the collider edit tool behavior, I guess, if you will. And so the collider edit tool behavior itself just manually binds whatever controls it wants to listen for. I'm thinking what I could do is I could create a new input behavior specifically for collider editing and a new input behavior specifically for tile editing. And then maybe I think that's all I would need. And then instead of it registering its own controls, I mean, we'll still call register controls. But what we'll do is we'll update the input manager, the input controller's behavior when that when either of the tool behaviors mount, and we basically maintain like this, I don't want to say binding, but like we'll keep it consistent. Like collider edit behavior will have the collider edit input behavior, and then what happens is in the scene is when, let's say you press the M hotkey in the scene, we'll swap out the active controller, the active tool behavior. We'll set it to nothing temporarily while we're in that measurement mode. And then once we exit measurement mode, we just go ahead and rebind that previous behavior. I need to see, because I think I'll have to change how these controls are done. Because like right now there's a bunch of lambdas, and the lambdas kind of have direct access to the actual instance of the collider edit behavior, which they won't be able to do anymore because we'll want to be able to restore it from somewhere else. But I think I can do this. I can update it in a way where that'll still work. It just might mean that we might have to change some of how the actual controls are dispatching what they're doing. Okay, I think we can do this. So inside of editor, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it input. And then collider edit input behavior. And I already have input behaviors in other places that I'm just going to kind of basically copy over for simplicity. Where are we? Okay, so we're pragma once. Always don't forget your pragma once, kids. Namespace, game editor, and then inside of there, we've got collider edit input behavior. Yeah, and then that'll inherit from input behavior. Yeah, and then public will, yeah. I think we only need the set dependencies in the on enter. I think. I'll have to see just to make sure, but I think that's all we need for now. So set dependencies, input behavior dependencies, reference. That's going to be an override. Boom. Okay. And then same thing, we're going to override the default on enter. Cool. I don't think we need it. Do we need anything private right now? Well, okay. For now, I'll not have it, but I think we are going to need something. We're going to need a way of referencing the current like edit behavior tool. I need a better name for that. I feel like it's a little ambiguous, but whatever. Okay, so same thing, collider edit input behavior CPP, and then same thing. I'll just copy over what we've got here. Honestly, I'll probably just grab this whole thing just to save some time here, and I'll change the namespace and the class name. Game editor, collider edit input behavior. Leave that empty for now. Game editor, collider edit input behavior. I don't actually want, I think I accidentally, there you go, pulled that in by accident. Okay, now what I actually want to do is effectively copy over this set of controls that was in here and throw that into the collider edit input behavior. And then I'll just grab these and throw them out. I don't need them anymore. Okay. Now, obviously we get a bunch of errors, right? Because now this is referencing stuff that doesn't exist anymore. Or that it does not have reference to anymore. That's fine. Let me see, where did I do register controls? Here, right? Register controls, and then I unregister. So in here, what I'll do is, I think it's input controller, common input controller, set active behavior. It'll be collider edit input behavior. Boom. Okay. Now I could pass in whatever dependencies I want here. Oh, I mean, this is the perfect spot. Well, here I can go ahead and actually pass in a reference to the current behavior. Actually, let me see what my input behavior dependencies look like, because it has to match. I can pass in the current scene. I don't need the current scene, so I won't. Yeah. What I could do, honestly, what probably would have been a little bit cleaner, maybe, is if I had made input behavior dependencies, if I had made that in any, because then it wouldn't have to like adhere to any one particular structure, right? Because right now this is kind of weird. Like I have lander being passed in here. All these things are null by default, but like these are weird to have, right? The only one that is kind of required is on exit, but even that, right? Like that's still, even on exit, I don't think is used by default. So like realistically, I could have just made this an any, and then in the place wherever I actually want to use it, I could have had an any cast, you know. The only like downside of that is then I would have to kind of, anytime I have multiple things that I'm passing in, I would have to have a new custom struct just for that input behavior, for example. But honestly, that might be cleaner, and maybe I'll refactor it to do that. I want to get this working first, and then, because like the more behaviors I add, the more messy this input behavior dependencies thing is going to get, you know. And then it was fine when I only had like a handful of dependencies that it could have, but now that it's like really like anything that's using an input behavior could pass in its own dependencies, and they could be wildly different. Like it's gonna get messier and messier. Regardless, it doesn't really matter that much right now. What I'll do is I'll just add, for now, an input behavior pointer. Ooh, I can't even really do that. I was gonna do like current behavior there, but then this is just gonna be type erased. Like I won't actually know which input behavior it is, so I won't be able to access the custom functions that are on there. So again, for now, I'll actually just pass in collider edit behavior pointer. And then have that default to null pointer. Again, this is icky. Don't do this, kids. If you guys see this, this is not the best practice, because look, now it's forcing me to pull in the collider. What I can actually do is just throw it in here, forward declare it, so that we don't actually have to import it. Point is, it's not clean. But I'll do it for now, and then we'll refactor it in a bit once we actually get the, I guess, the proof of concept working, is I guess how I would say it. Yeah, so now that takes in a collider edit behavior, and then we'll just say collider edit behavior is equal to this. Yeah, because we're already inside the collider edit behavior when we register it. I think that works. And then what we do is when we're in the actual input behavior, we'll say here, behavior is equal to dependencies.collider edit behavior, right? Bear with me here. Now we'll want to have this, private section here. And then this will actually store a reference to a collider edit behavior. We still don't need to actually import it, so I am still going to forward declare it. Collider, not input behavior, collider edit behavior, right? So boom, it's forward declared, and then just call it tool behavior. Again, not super clear what that exactly means. I think I have to like work through the naming there for a bit at some point. Because when I originally planned these like different behavior modes out, I didn't really think that I was gonna want to be switching between input behaviors. So I figured, okay, each tool can have its own thing. But now that we have like controls in common between the two different behaviors, you know, your software evolves and then you have to evolve with it. Okay. So we're storing tool behavior, so we have to call this tool behavior here. And then we just do tool behavior, and it's a pointer on mouse click. Now I have to actually import that here. And it's private. So collider edit behavior, the HPP file. Oh, that's input behavior. Collider edit behavior, the HPP file. I have a choice here to make, right? I could make these all public, right? But that kind of leaks implementation out of this. It's a little bit irrelevant, like all these private things, right? So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna I think this is a good use case to friend class. So I'll friend the collider edit input behavior so that it has access to the private members of the collider edit behavior. Collider edit input behavior. Is that how you do that? I forget. It's been a while. Let me see. Let me friend class. Yes. Okay. Cool. Friend class, collider edit input behavior, and I don't even actually have to have it necessarily imported here. I don't think. Yeah. As long as it's there during runtime, I think it should be good to go. So cool. And now look at that. That error went away. Now this has access to the private members. Cool. All right. And then those private members are not available on the outside. This is like one of the few cases where I think using a friend class is okay. In most places, it's really icky. But when it's like very tightly bound functionality like this, and you just are splitting stuff up for like cleanliness, unique case where I feel like it's justified. Tool behavior. Put that in a few thousand other times. Let me just, there. And notice we're not changing any actual controls here. We're just saying, hey, do the same thing you were already doing. These need to actually not change. They just have to change the references here. Oops. There. All right. All right, that's decently clean. And then the nice thing about the input behavior class is it will clean up its like control subscriptions on its own, so we don't have to worry about it ourselves. As long as we switch to another input behavior, they'll be cleaned up. So yeah, okay. What I want to do is, where are we? We're, yeah, collider edit behavior. In the actual HPP file, that sets the active behavior to collider edit input behavior when we enter. On exit, we actually don't have to do anything, because, I mean, here's the thing. The cleaner thing is on exit, we clear the active behavior. and then somewhere else we would set the new, like what I'm thinking here is I have two different tool behaviors that I'm switching between. I have the collider tool and the tile mapping tool, right? And whenever either of them gets entered, they're gonna each individually call set active behavior, just set the input behavior that they want to use. Now, like that's enough. Like I don't actually have to, by definition of doing that, I don't have to do anything in on exit of either of them, because they'll clear out their own active behaviors when they switch. But the thing is, if I ever add a third behavior that for some reason doesn't set its own input behavior, then I'll have the behaviors from the old one. And just for that reason alone, I think it's a good time to actually unregister those. So what I can do is here, common input controller, I think it's clear active behavior. Now, I need to double check to make sure clear active behavior does what I want. So all it does is it calls on behavior exit, and it, interestingly, does it actually, it doesn't actually remove the current behavior. It exits the current behavior, but it doesn't actually clear it. I think it's got to be a bug, right? So I'll clear it out. Cool. Now I don't need this register controls function anymore, because all it did was this, but that is now moved somewhere else. So we'll remove that. And same thing for unregister controls. I can get rid of that. So then what that means is in here, when I call unregister controls, that's gone. When I call register controls, that's gone. Now in the header for collider edit behavior, I need to also go and remove the register controls and run register. There you go. Cool. So now those are gone. We don't have to worry about them anymore. And then the behavior gets cleared correctly. That's good. I think that should work for the collider flow, the collider edit flow. Now I need to do basically the same thing for the tile edit flow. So I'm going to go ahead and create a tile edit input behavior. And once again, I'm literally just going to copy and paste this, because it's going to be, at least for this part, it's going to be almost the exact same thing. Tile edit input behavior, boom, replace that. And here it's going to be a tile edit input behavior. Oh, my bad. That actually needs to be a tile edit behavior. Not input. There. Okay. One other thing I need to do, I need to go in here, and same way I had this collider edit behavior, I need to do tile edit behavior. Again, this is all, I'm gonna have to clean all this up. This is gross, but just for now, this works. Yeah, and then I need to forward declare that here. Make sure I didn't, yep, pull that in. Okay, cool. So now we've got that. Tile edit input behavior CPP. Good to go there. And then I'll literally go ahead and copy this one over as well. Don't need these. Okay. And then this guy is going to be tile edit behavior. Boom. Tool behavior is going to be tile edit behavior. Okay. Yeah, that's correct. Why are you complaining here? Oh, because I called this collider edit input behavior. Tile edit. There you go. Tile edit. Boom. Okay. Controls. I'm gonna clear them out because I'm gonna go grab them off of the actual input behavior. And let's see, we got register controls. Where are you? Boom. So again, very much the same thing as we did before. Copying that over, throwing it in there. And once again, it's going to complain. It doesn't like what I did there. That's okay. The compiler doesn't like me. Sometimes. Okay. Now, register controls. Instead of register controls, I do input controller set active behavior, and I'll do tile edit input behavior, and then dot tile edit behavior equals this. Cool. What don't you like? No input control. I just need to import it. Remove that call to register controls, and then I just do input controller clear active behavior, remove the unregistered controls, and then I need tile edit HTTP register. There you go. Boom. Okay, that's cleaned up. Once again, I need to actually, where was it? I need to friend class the input behavior in here. Catch up on chat here in a second. Cool, and then I don't need to actually import that. And then tool behavior on mouse click. Perfect. Okay. No, Azure Virtual Desktop logged me out during inferencing. Oof. Do you, when that happens, do you lose access? Like, do you lose your current session? Or like if you log back in, does it continue where you left off? Tool behavior. And then again, here it's basically just a bunch of throwing a pointer behind everything. Okay. Cool. It kills my session, but I keep the history when I log back in using an agentic harness similar to Cloud Code. Okay. I mean, that's could be worse, right? But I'm guessing it does, like the agent itself doesn't pick back up where it left off, so you probably have to like reprompt it and have it start inferencing again or something like that. Or does the harness handle that for you automatically? Yeah, I have to be like continue doing, yeah. Makes sense. Okay. I think we're good on that. Then, well, what I want to do now is I want to build this and make sure that this is actually working. Functionally, there should be like no difference between this and what I already had, right? Like everything should just continue to work exactly how it was. Now, but the cool thing is that this will allow me, I can just like unregister controls from the map, like from the scene itself, to like have the scene take over whenever it wants to do like a inbuilt like tool or something like that. But yeah, that should be nice. Looks like everything is progressing smoothly so far. Oh man, it's been so hot past few days. my mantises hatched. I think I mentioned on last stream that I got like a mantis. I think it's called an utheca. It's basically like an egg. If you, it's analogous to an egg. I don't know why it's like what the difference between an utheca is and an egg, but I got one at a reptile expo that my wife and I went to a few weeks ago. And yeah, they hatch out of there, and it's like hundreds of them come out. It's pretty insane. So now I've been feeding these tiny little mantids, like flightless fruit flies, and like spraying them with water and stuff. I'm gonna let them go in a few days, or maybe tomorrow or something. I'll see. But I'm gonna keep one as a pet. They live like a year, and they don't need like any space. So I'm just gonna like make a little, I don't know, like a little vivarium for it. Kind of how like people keep jumping spiders, and it'll just be my little desk buddy. And then I'll use him as a rubber duck or something. I already have them separated out, the one that I'm gonna keep, because I was feeding them, and then one of them escaped from the little enclosure somehow, and I didn't notice it. Like they're so tiny and they're so light, I just did not notice it. And like as I was closing the cup, I think that they were in, because they're like in this like, it's like a large drinking cup kind of thing, because like I said, they really don't need much space. And as I was closing it after feeding them, my wife was like, "You have one on your finger," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I looked, and it's like right there, like a tiny little one. So then I just put him to the side. I was like, "Hey man, you wanna chill? I'll put you on in your own little spot, and we'll hang out." Ew, bugs. Well, I don't mind their right to exist, and I like praying mantises more than most bugs, but I would never raise them. They belong outside, away from me. Fair, dude. I get that. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm like super weirded out by bugs myself. Like certain bugs, you know. Like I don't want like roaches on me, but like spiders, I think are chill. Like scorpions are not even bugs, right? Like I don't. Are they? I mean, I know they're like arthropods. Is that what they are? I don't know. They're chill. I like centipedes and millipedes. They're pretty cool. And yeah, mantids. Like what I wanted, a orchid mantis, and they had at the reptile show, they were selling them, but like it was like $80. I was like, damn, am I gonna pay $80 for a bug? I don't know. It was a little steep. For a bug that lives like a year, granted there are worse things to spend your money on, but I'll show you guys what it looks like actually. An orchid mantis, they're pretty chill. Orchid mantis, they're so nice looking. Like, look at that. Can you believe that that's like an animal? That's a bug. It's like, it looks like a whole flower. They're so nice. But yeah, this is what I wanted. What I ended up getting was just like a regular mantis, because the utheca, it was more of like a you raise them and you give them away kind of thing, or like you let them go kind of thing. And I was like, I'm not even sure if I want to like actually keep one or not. But then I was like, I'll give it some thought. I didn't want to like have like an impulse buy that I was gonna regret at the reptile expo. I figured like I can get the little baby mantids. I can raise them, I can release them somewhere. They'll, they're like natural pest control. If you have like a garden or whatever, you let them go there. And that way I have more time to decide, like, do I actually want to keep one? And after they hatched, I'm like, man, these guys are pretty cool, and they're like super low maintenance. So I figure, why not? I had what's it called? I had vampire crabs up until recently. They live like 3 years, and they live their full lifespan basically. I had a tank on my desk, and these guys are super cool. They're tiny too. They're like this is it on someone's hand. They're really small. Yeah, I had them for a few years, but then my they kind of passed, like they live their lives and then they're done. So I've had more space on my desk and stuff. That looks like the build finished, so let's see. We're gonna go ahead and test. Hopefully we don't get a seg fault, but We might. Okay. So far this looks fine. Import tile set. Where do I have? It was my terrain tile map. Yeah, that still works fine. I can still place down whatever. Escape still works. Command click, that works. Okay, delete tile. Command click. Yeah. So for the most part, and then the scrolling works. Actually, let me see. I think scroll, what should happen is if I do shift scroll, yeah, the Z index should change. So yeah, it's moving back and forth. Okay, that's good. So it seems so far like our changes just straight up worked. Oh, actually, I need to test the swapping between. So I have the tile edit behavior, swap to collider edit behavior. Now if I press E, I should be able to start creating a collider. Shift click will close the collider, escapes the collider, and then I switch back to tile edit mode. If I hit E, yeah, E does not let me create a new collider, so that's good. So yeah, it looks like it just worked, which, you know, that was the expectation, but it's good to check. Cool, that's good. LOL, interesting. Yeah, they're cool. I like bugs. Some bugs, not all bugs. Not bed bugs, not roaches, not gross looking bugs that are mean to me, but chill bugs. I'm cool with some chill bugs. I love bees, for example. Like right now we live in an apartment, but once we have a house, I totally want to have like a beehive and raise some bees. Okay, that all works. That's good. I'm happy with that. Now, the thing that I need to figure out here is inside of the map edit scene, I need to add a new scan code that it's listening for. Scan code C. Yeah. I'll copy this one over, and then I'll just add a new one. My favorite insect is the honeybee. Yeah, dude, they're so cute. I love honeybees, man. They're just chill. You know, they don't hurt you unless they're confused or you're being a dick, you know? So I respect it. I like them. Okay. Now the callback for the map stuff, what it should do, I want it to common input controller. Yeah, input controller, and then it should clear active behavior. Right. Yeah, it'll clear the active behavior. However, I think is there an on escape? Are we listening to escape in here? ESC? No, we're not listening to escape in here. So I'll add a scan code for escape as well, because what we want to do is, if we're in something that needs to be escaped out of, like if I press M and then I want to swap out of measurement mode, I want to be able to just hit escape, you know? I need to literally just copy the contents of this, basically. Okay. It's sad that they have an appearance easily confused with yellow jackets, which are not even bees, and I absolutely hate yellow jackets. Dude, yellow jackets are assholes, you know? Wasps and hornets, they're annoying, you know? Like, bees, they're chill, they mind their business, but like wasps and hornets, like, I can't tell you how many times I've had like a can of Coke or something that I was drinking, and I just, like, took a hot summer day, and the thing is like literally trying to get into my Coke and explore the inside of the can, and then I have to like be careful because I can't really swat at it because then it'll kill me. Well, it'll sting me, right? So I can't piss it off, but I also don't want it in my Coke, man, you know? So what do? Those guys are fucking annoying. It's like every year that it happens, every single year. Thankfully I've actually never been stung by anything, I don't think. Sometimes I make a statement and then like I have to double check myself as I'm making the statement to make sure that I'm not lying. But no, I've never been stung by anything. Oh, here's what I need to do as well. In map edit scene, I do want to store in measurement mode. Yeah. And then mark that as true. And then here, all I really need to do is on escape rest, which is a function that doesn't exist in here yet. We're going to create it. That can be private. We'll do void on escape rest. Boom. And then do it above right here. Yeah. Game editor, map edit scene on escape rest. Boom. Now, if I am in measurement mode, I'll go ahead and swap that. And then I'll do common input controller restore previous behavior, which is something that we actually implemented last week. And it's already coming in useful for something unrelated. And then that's it. Honestly, well, here, I'll put in an early return in case we add anything else after this, but that's good for now. So then I'll go ahead and test that as well. All that should happen now is if I hit M, when I'm in a particular mode, like in a particular like tool, like the collider edit tool, it should disable all of my collider tooling, if you will. And then if I hit escape, it should bring it back. That's what we're looking for after this build finishes. That's what I want to see. So let's see if that's what happens. Back into Act 0, switch into collider edit mode. And now just to test, creating colliders works to begin with. Command click, and then I can delete it. That's good. Now I'm going to hit M, right? And I'll hit E, and yeah, nothing. I cannot create a collider. I can switch to... Okay. What I just did there was I switched over to the tile edit behavior. The problem here is I'm in measurement mode and I was able to switch over to tile edit behavior. Now the reason that's happened is because the scene is what's actually controlling the keybind for T and C, which allows me to switch into the different tool modes. So even though I unbound the collider edit behavior inputs, the scene still allows me to switch to tile edit behavior, and then by definition back over to collider mode, which would boom now allow me to play stuff again. But the problem is I'm in measurement mode, so if I was actually able to measure stuff right now, it'd be weird. I'd be in this weird situation where I'd be measuring, but then I'd also have all the other controls. I don't want that. So what I need to do is in here, I just check. It's not the most elegant thing, honestly. And then maybe at this point it becomes an argument. Okay, well, for your map edit scene, maybe I need to have, like, you have to have its own set of, like, its own input behavior. The problem is then I can't have a general control scheme for my entire editor, and then more specialized control schemes for individual. Like, I can only really have one input behavior at a time, you know, and at least as far as the input controller is concerned. So I can get around that by, like, you know, registering some input subscriptions outside of the controller, which is what I've done here in the scene. Unfortunately, what that ends up meaning is, like, if I have it set up that way, I have to do some extra checks here. But I think that's fine, honestly. If I'm in measurement mode, in measure, like, why isn't it showing up? In measurement mode return. Yeah, I mean, it's valid. And then same thing for scan code C. It just basically does nothing. And those are the only two that I think I need to protect against, because like save, command, dragging, those are fine. Those like these drag things, this is what allows me to drag the world grid, you know. And this is again an example of like, I don't want to re-implement this into the collider edit behavior and the tile edit behavior. Like the dragging the world grid needs to work whatever tool tool mode I'm in, you know. Which is why I set it up this way. Yeah, so if I'm in measurement mode, I don't want to allow switching between tool behaviors. I think that's a clean enough separation for now, and then if I end up coming across anything weirder, any other use cases, then I can start rethinking this, but for now I think it's good. All right, let's see. So we're in here. I'm going to switch over into collider edit mode. I press M to enter measurement mode, and I just pressed E. You guys can't see this, but I pressed E and I'm trying to create a collider. It doesn't work. That's expected because now we're in measurement mode, right? Now if I want to switch over to tile mode, I'm pressing T right now. That's not doing anything. I'm pressing C right now. That's not doing anything. So we're good, right? Okay. Now if I press escape and I press E, boom. Okay, we're good to go. Okay, now we have the ability to actually disable stuff, even when we're in a specific tool mode, which is great. Now all I need to do is, since I'm already inside of measurement mode and I already track that, what I can do is, I think I have, do I have an on mouse click in here? I don't. So I need to listen for a mouse click event. So I'll do that. As a matter of fact, I think I have one. I try to avoid manually having to write those big ass structs. I mean, they're not even that big, but I'm lazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and just copy it over from somewhere else. Okay, so when we press down a mouse click, we want to trigger the on mouse click event or the mouse click function. Interestingly, I have a mouse click function. Mouse click, or at least it's not erroring. It's defined here. Interesting. I think I defined it in the header and I never actually implemented it because it's here in the map edit scene header. I mean, shit, that works. Or maybe I had it and I was using it for something before and then I removed it. That's also possible. And I probably just forgot to remove it from the header. Map edit scene on mouse click. Okay, now for now is in measurement mode. What do I want to do? So if I'm in measurement mode, I guess handle measurement, because I like to try to clean things up as early as I can, or have a clean flow as early as I can. So if we're in measurement mode, I'll return handle measurement click, right? And for measurement mode, we'll allow you to click twice, right? First click starts your anchor point from which you are measuring. Second click will actually allow you to place the end point of the line. But even during your mouse moving, after you've clicked once, I want to show the measurement. So we'll do that. But splitting it out this way allows us to make things clean, you know? Yeah. Do that after. I'll do it here. Game editor. Map edit scene. Handle measurement. Click. Okay. And now this is going to be like world space, not screen space. So I'm going to have to keep that in mind. Handle measurement. Click. Add that. All right. Okay. So what I need to do is I need here to track 2 points. I need to track the start point and the end point. I won't always have both. Well, I will always have both. Yeah. Here's what I'm thinking. The start point can always be the first place you clicked, right? The end point can just be wherever your current mouse cursor is until you click a second time. So as soon as you've clicked once, I already have a line. Yeah, I think that's pretty clean. Okay, yeah, let's do that. So I already have a primitive that allows me to represent a line. Measurement line, I guess. Why not? Yeah. Cool. So when I click, now I need to know though, is this the first click or the second click? Because that's how I know whether I set the start of the line or the end of the line. Well, here's what I can do. I can make the measurement line an optional, right? And if it's there, then I set the first point. Or if it's already there, I set the first point. If it's not already there, sorry, Jesus. If it's already there, I set the second point. If it's not already there, I set the first point. So the way that looks is if measurement line, right, then measurement line dot end equals, then I just need to find, I already do this somewhere, mouse world position, get mouse position. Yeah, but you see that's screen position. I want the world position. I think, yeah, I think what I can do, where was I? Either way, I know I need the mouse position, so I'll do that. That'll be a singularity point. We'll call that mouse world position. Yeah. And so we'll get mouse position, but we also want to take singularity render pipeline camera dot screen to world. So that'll take a screen position and it'll convert it into a world position. And then that's not enough because this gives me screen to world, gives me a SDL F point. Does it? No, it says it gives me back a point. Screen. Oh, I think it's the opposite. If I convert world to screen, it gives me an SDL F point. But if I convert screen to world, it gives me a actual singularity point. So I think we're good. So that's good. Then all I need to do is set the endpoint of the line to mouse world position. What's this saying? Is not contextually. I mean, that has value. Like, oh, did I just not save that it's an optional? I think that's what it is. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Measurement line, and then at this point I know I have it, so I just immediately set it to end. Otherwise, measurement line is equal to singularity line, with the start and end point being the mouse world position to begin with. It's pretty weird, but I think that's what we need to do. And then when the mouse moves, on mouse drag, yeah, okay. Yeah, when the mouse moves, if we're in measurement mode, I want to, well, essentially what I need to do is I need to do the like that. I need to get the mouse world position again and just set the line to that. Yeah. Do I? Yeah. Okay. I'll create a function for it, specialized. Update measurement endpoint. And then I'll just return early. Same deal as before. And then void as well. Update measurement endpoint. Okay. And then I'll just go here. Boom. Game editor. Map edit scene. Update measurement endpoint. Easy peasy. Okay. And that literally all I need at that point. Honestly, here's what I can do. Damn. I wanted to do some function composition here, right? I wanted to, like, here, if measurement line, just call update measurement endpoint. And I figured I can, like, I can just remove the mouse world position stuff from here. But I still need it here. So that doesn't work. NSHUSA says, dang, people still code by hand. Yeah. Some of us are still artisans. I don't know. For me, I like coding by hand. It's therapeutic, and honestly, most LLM code I've ever had generated just is worse than what I could have written myself. Not always, but I'm usually not happy with the output, and I spend more time cleaning it up than I end up saving by using AI. So a lot of times you just, well, sometimes you just do it yourself, you know? Okay. Welcome to the chat, by the way, NSHUSA. It's good to see you here. Okay, so yeah, a little bit of copy and paste here, but throw this in here. That's fair. I honestly think this makes us dumber. It definitely, like, you definitely have skill atrophy. Like, for a little while, I tried to just do it exclusively, like for work, just exclusively use an LLM for everything. I can feel my skills atrophying a little bit. I don't like it. I like being like really sharp with what I do. That said, I mean, I do use like AI for work, you know. Just the way that I typically use AI is I just use it more like Google, you know. I haven't gone on Stack Overflow in God knows how long. Like I just don't really use it anymore. I'll use AI because it gives me like a more personalized, like, you know, error debugging flow and all that. It is useful, don't get me wrong. Just like, not for myself, I haven't found it to be as useful for like generating code entirely. That being said, though, I think Corbin says he's been having a good amount of success with AI. He's been using it pretty heavily, and it seems like it's working really well for him. So, you know, maybe I'm just not very good at using it. It's entirely within the realm of possibility. Measurement line. Yeah, so what I need, effectively, I literally just need this. I need measurement line end, to equal that. Boom, done. No problem. Yeah, I'm rocking it pretty good with Opus 4.8. Ultra Code is basically Fable in a trench coat. Yeah, I used Opus for a bit. Not 4.8. Like I want to say like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I don't know if it was the latest Opus model at the time. But Opus was like leagues above anything else. When I did use it, it's just so fucking expensive. Like that shit just that burns tokens, you know. I think I burned like $20 in like, I don't know, less than an hour using Opus. It was crazy. Okay. Yeah. So, okay, whenever the mouse moves, if we're in measurement mode, it'll update the measurement endpoint. So the end of the line will get updated to the current mouse's world position. So that's good. And then once we click, once we click, I still need to remain in measurement mode, but I need to make it so that I'm not actively updating the line. So I feel like I basically need like another state here. There's in measurement mode, and then there's basically actively I don't know, measuring. And then after you enter measurement mode, when you first like place a line, switch into is actively measuring, that becomes true. And then in here on mouse move, we only do that if is actively measuring. And this is not necessarily, this can happen even if we're dragging. I think that's fair. So it doesn't need to be an early return. It just calls it, updates it, and we're good to go. Otherwise, we update the end position. I think that's good. Now, the one thing that we're not doing is we're not actually rendering the line. So, where's my render here? Render. Ba-ba-da, there we go. Render screen center point. Yeah. And then I'll just I'll render if in measurement mode. Then I want to enqueue the line. And then coordinate space is gonna be world, so I don't need to specify screen because it defaults to world. Now I want geometry to be a line, so singularity line. Honestly, I don't even need to. I can just what was it? If in measurement mode and what did I call it? Was it, yeah, measurement line? Cool. Then I pass in measurement line here. So we're only going to try to render the line if it's actually, you know, been defined. And then I'll keep z-index pretty high, because presumably if you're measuring, you want to see the line. It's going to be on top of everything. I think 1000 is fine. Cool. Color, I'll make the line white. I just happen to know that that's text primary. Yeah, that's fine. Boom, that's good. Measurement line. Yeah, I don't want it to be an optional. I want to actually get the value. So dot value. Yeah, there you go. Cool. I think that should work. That's not going to actually give us a measurement. It's just going to draw a line between the points where we're measuring. But that's fine. That's enough for now, just for testing. And then once we get that, then I'll go in and actually have the text be added in to show the measurement in units. where do you get your sprites from, or do you make them? I make everything by hand. So for this game, everything, like my goal is literally I want to do everything by hand. Um, all the art, all the music, all the engine, for example, Scratch built, all the sound effects. By the time the game's done, I want everything to be mine. Right now, I'm using some sound effects from like an online thing that I found just so that I have something, you know. Because sometimes it's hard to get a feeling for like whether something's punchy enough otherwise. But like, I want to straight up create everything myself. To whatever extent I can. If I can't, you know, if I end up stumbling, or if I feel like part of the game really is struggling because of the choice to have done it myself, then, you know, then I can outsource, or I can like buy like I think the place where I feel like I'll probably struggle the most is like audio, because I've done, like, I'm not an amazing artist, but I'm fine with like pixel art. I'm fine with artistic things in general. What I don't have like any experience in is sound and music design. So that's the point at which I feel like if I'm gonna compromise anywhere on like the whole I want to do this all myself thing, it's probably gonna be there. That being said, I want to try to do it all myself, so we'll see. But yeah, sprites are, I do all of them in Acid, right? Not that I even have that many, but and I'm really slow at it. I'm really slow at it. But okay, let's see. We're gonna enter measurement mode. I pressed M. I'm clicking in one spot, clicking in another. Okay, that second click is not actually updating, or maybe it is, but then maybe what's happening is, I don't know, if I don't exit active measurement mode. Let's see. On mouse click, handle measurement click, and then let's see, where is handle measurement click? Yeah, so you see here, is actively measuring, needs to be false. That's the problem. Cool. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to my render, and I'm gonna change it, because what's happening is, where is it? Am I blind? There we go. There's my render. I'm gonna change this to have its own thing, its own function. Render measurement line. Dang, that's gonna take a long time to do it all yourself. How long have you been working on this for? It's as of May of this year. That was my 1 year mark. So it's been about a year and 1 month at this point. I built the level editor from scratch, I built the game engine from scratch, and I built the actual game itself from scratch. There's so much that like goes into it. You're totally right. It's a lot. And honestly, if I hadn't decided to build the engine from scratch, I don't want to say I'd be done with the game, but I've sunk a lot of time into it. At this point, like, I don't know. Like, I average probably like 4 hours a day working on the game. When you generalize it over the course of the whole year, there were points where I was working on it like 8 hours a day. But like, and then there was also points where I was working on it for an hour a day. But like, if you really generalize it, it's like 3 or 4 hours a day, on average for a year. So I don't know. I've definitely put in like 1,200 hours, give or take, into it. How do you keep motivated? I tried to make a game, but I got bored after a couple weeks. I don't. Well, I do and I don't. It's hard. Like, motivation fades for like, I don't know. I try to keep it fun for myself, and I try to not force myself to work on stuff that I don't want to work on for too long, but that isn't like sustainable, because sometimes you have to work on stuff that you don't want to work on, you know, because there's parts of the game that need to get done and they rely on that. It's, I guess I would say it's less about motivation and more about discipline. I tell myself, like, you know, I decided that I'm going to do this thing. I want to see what it's going to look like when it's done. There's a little bit of like sunk cost fallacy. It's like, I've already put this much time into it, so I want to, you know, not let all that time go to waste. And, you know, that time is sacrifice, and, you know, time away from your family, time away from my wife and all that, to work on this. So, you know, some of it is guilt. Guilt is a pretty good motivator, but I don't know. I think for me, what's made it not as hard is like building the thing that I actually want to build. I know it's easier said than done, but like a lot of game dev advice out there is like build small games, build, start off small, build like little things. And that's good advice if you can find something small that you're also really interested in building. But like if you're just going to build a small game just to build a small game, but then you're not enjoying it, then like, yeah, you are learning, right? And that is worth it for its own thing. But like to keep the motivation, I think you have to be doing something that you're enjoying. And I love space. Like space is like my thing. Space and flying, And so like how do you combine that? It's literally spacecrafts, right? So I'm building a space game, and it has real physics, and it has a lot of the stuff that I care about, and so it helps drive me forward, I guess, He keeps motivated because of Totoro the cat. Yeah, Totoro. Where is she? I'm actually surprised she hasn't hopped up on the desk too much today. She's probably not too hungry. Also, I'm sure his audience here contributes motivation, plus not having an audience. Oh, absolutely. For a while, I was like doing this offline solo. I've only really been doing like any YouTube or TikTok or any like I've only really been sharing the game. I want to say like maybe a month or two now. But like the support of the community definitely helps. I'll say that. Like seeing that other people are excited about it and like they want to play it, that really gets me excited because I'm like, hell yeah, like I am not the only person, How'd you come up with the idea for the game? Originally I wanted to build a game engine. And I wanted an excuse to build a game engine because for me, I like making tools. I like building things that other developers can use. Like for me, that's a really fun thing to do. I like getting really technical and solving like hard problems. So I was like, like a game engine seems like such a cool thing to do. But like to make a game engine, you like realistically, you should self-consume your own APIs to make something that's good. So I figured, okay, if I'm gonna make a game engine, I should also make some small game in this engine as I'm making it so that I can test the engine, right? So there was like my wife and I went to a barcade in the city, and we saw this old console there that was like Atari's Lunar Lander. And I had never, I'm a 90s kid, but I'm like late 90s, like 98. So like I didn't really play arcades or anything like that. So I had no clue what like Atari's Lunar Lander was. But like once I started playing it, I spent like the entire night there on that machine. It was so fun. And like when I was thinking about what game to make, I was like, you know what? Like I could just make a clone of Atari's Lunar Lander, And then as I was building it, I was having so much fun, like just flying the lander around. I ended up like actually making the clone, right? Like it was a clone of the game. You could do the thing that you did in the arcade game, in my game, in my engine. But then I was like, this is really fun. Like I want to turn this into something more, because I had built out all the physics. It was a clone of that game with like two major differences. I wanted it to have procedural terrain because the original game was like pre-made static levels, and I thought it'd be cool to have just procedural terrain, so every time you play it's different. And then I also was like, well, what if I use real physics? Because in the original, the arcade game was from like 1973 or something like that, so like they didn't actually have real physics. So I was like, let me build real physics into it, because I need physics for the engine anyway. So that was like the original pitch, and then once I had it done, I was like, man, this is so fun to fly around and like avoid crashing and stuff. So I was like, I gotta turn this into something else. So then I basically was like, let me think of a whole story around this, and I want to turn this into like a more narrative game versus arcade game. And it kind of slowly started evolving from there. Yeah, that's basically it. I like Space 2. I was just playing Planet Crafter, super fun game. I think I have that on my wish list. I don't think I've played it. But it does sound familiar. It definitely sounds like a game that I have on my wish list. But yeah, I can show you the game a little bit. I don't know if you've seen it before, but I can. Super bare bones still. There's a lot to do. I mean, I'm sure every game dev says that, but there's a lot to do. So I have most of the menus done. I'm going like through for like a very like retro terminal kind of theme for my menus and stuff like that. Because there's like a terminal in the game. Like you can actually use it. I have a fully emulated terminal in the game that you use as part of like the controls for the spacecraft. So you spawn in, you're falling from the sky, and then what you usually would want to do is you want to scan using your LiDAR scanner, and that basically goes and it'll scan the terrain below you, so you can find a good spot to land, right? And then you dodge debris as it's coming down. That's like there's a space station that explodes in the beginning of the game. So the parts that are falling down are just parts of the space station. And you dodge that debris. When it crash lands, it has a chance that it'll leave some scrap behind. But anyway, the point is you're trying to land safely. This is like a test map, so it looks like shit. But we're gonna go ahead and land, and like you deploy your gear. The lander in the game is like heavily inspired off of Apollo lunar lander, but it's not the same really because there's a few things that are different about how it functions. But yeah, then you can turn off your lander now that like your scanner now that we've landed. And then from there you can kind of explore the terminal. So like once we've landed, we can do an operation check to see, okay, like how are my legs doing. So I damaged my right landing leg a tiny bit, 5% damage during that landing. It was a little bit rougher than it could have been, but otherwise we're good. You know, hull integrity is good. And then like the mass burn, like as you burn fuel, your mass decreases and stuff like that. So it's like all physically simulated, you know. Oh Jesus, I've literally never had that happen before. What the fuck? I just got yeeted up into the sky. What the hell? That's a new bug. What? That was funny. There's an EVA portion, which is what I was trying to show. You can hop out of the lander and then explore the surface. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show it now, because it'll probably eat me again. I wonder what I changed recently, because I haven't. There's nothing that I would have expected to do that. Nothing that I've changed recently about physics or colliders or anything like that. Try this again. It'll probably eat me again, but we'll give it a shot. Then there's like a crafting system and stuff like that. But the whole game, the point is like it's a narrative driven game. Okay, yeah, it did not eat me that time. It's not supposed to eat me. So you have cargo that you can store in the lander. There's a crafting system, so like for example, you can find blueprints. So like let's say the legs can break off, right? So if you land poorly, you can break off one of the legs and they don't come back. You have to craft a new one. So we have a blueprint for a landing leg. So if I wanted to craft a new landing leg, I would need 3 alloy, I would need some circuitry, and I would need some actuators. And the way I would find that is I would go and I would look for crashed debris, and like a debris pile might have like random scraps and stuff like that. It's also going to be like scraps in you know, predetermined places in the world, but for now in like this version of the game, there's really only scraps in a handful of places, like really only just from like the crashes. I don't think I even have an area to grab it from, to be honest. Let me see. I'll hop back in the lander and see if I can fly somewhere else. Yeah, oh, there's scrap over there. Like you can see, like a lot of the stuff is not implemented. Like the animations aren't all there. I've kind of gotten it, like I've been building it very piecemeal, like one system at a time kind of thing, you know. It's a lot of stuff that like even half of the animations for the astronaut aren't there. Like if you jump, there's no animation for falling while moving to the right, you know. But yeah, so this is an example of a debris pile, and I can inspect it, and then it's a Tetris style inventory. Move things into it, and then I can go and bring that back to my lander. That's a weird bug too. I've never seen that one before, where it like jumps like that for a second. I have to see what that's about. I wonder what I changed recently that made all that happen. Anyway, the point is, like, I would use these. You would use these, and you can combine those. You would use these to effectively like craft different things. In this case, there's no recipe that's just using sealant and chemicals, so there's nothing I can really craft with these. But what I can show you is, if I put these in here, that affects the mass distribution in the lander. So, like, right now, the lander is a little bit, like, heavy on the left side. So if I try to fly it, it's gonna, like, veer ever so slightly off to the left. And I have to effectively just, like, correct it with RCS. And yeah. That's mostly what's implemented right now. Right now, I've been also like working on getting the level editor nice and clean, so that I can actually start to implement my levels. Looks cool. What made you choose C++ over a higher level language like JavaScript? Well, I wanted to build the engine entirely, and I can do that with JavaScript, but JavaScript is usually slower, especially like if you're actually squeezing for performance, it's going to be slower than C++. And for something like a game, you want as much performance as you can get. That being said, you can definitely, like, for a 2D game, you can get 60 FPS with JavaScript. JavaScript and like WebGL or something like that, you can totally do it. Honestly, I wanted something that I could like actually install on a computer. And not have like any dependency on a specific runtime. Like in order for a game engine to work in JavaScript, you would need the player to have, like, the user to have Node installed, or install Node or bundle Node with your executable. And then, like, even just the Node runtime it consumes a bunch of memory, you know. That's why you have like certain apps, like they use Electron or something like that. They'll use like 5 gigs of memory just for like a chat app, you know. I didn't want to have to deal with any of that. And honestly, like, C++ is just kind of like the natural language that you go for something like this. So it wasn't really like I gave it a lot of thought. It was like I need a low-level language that I either already know or I'm willing to learn for this project. It felt like the right fit. You know, I could have gone with C, but I didn't want to subject myself to that pain. So here we are with C++. Okay, back to editing stuff. So what was I doing? Oh, I was setting up a new function that does the rendering of the measurement line. Map edit scene, so I need to add in here, void render measurement line. There you go. Boom. Okay. Now I need to actually define it in here because I don't have it defined anywhere. I'll grab this, find where I'm doing the render world origin point. I like to keep my functions kind of similar functions in the same area in the file, you know, makes it easier to find things. Render measurement line. Okay. Now, if not in measure, I want to do like I want to do an early return here. So if I'm not in measurement mode, or I don't have a measurement line, I'm just going to early return. And then that means that I don't have to have this wrapped in an if statement. One less layer. The less layers you've got in your code, typically the cleaner you'll have it, because then you have less how do I want to phrase it? You need less mental capacity to know what can happen here, right? Because like by the time I get here in this code, I know that I have to be in measurement mode and I have to have a measurement line. So all my code past that point can just work with that assumption, you know? You're like narrowing down the scope, if you will. You're narrowing down all the things that you have to juggle in your mind at one time, and usually that results in cleaner code. So okay, we know that we have a measurement line at this point. We are already rendering the line itself. What I need to do now is I also want to actually render text. So what I want to do is I want to find the line midpoint And after I find the midpoint of the line, that's where I want to place the text. I just want the text to show up, you know, in the middle of the line. Yeah. So I think what I need to do for that is the line itself is in world space, right? So what I can do is I can take the end and subtract it from the beginning. Start. Is it not start? Yeah, it's start. I thought it was start. Okay. Reset. Start. Okay. So by subtracting that, when I subtract a point, I should get a vector 2D. And then that'll be the, I don't know. Actually, do I even? Yeah, that's the direction vector. Right? That's like, hey, this is a vector representing the direction that the line is going in, right? But that's not enough. That's just saying, oh, I'm gonna, you know, if I wanted to travel along the line, which direction would I need to travel in? And that's what this is representing. But what I actually want to do is take the direction vector and I want to normalize it. Do I want to normalize it first? Because I don't think I want to normalize it first. I'm thinking vector 2D. I think I have a magnitude in here. Magnitude. But does that give me the length? That's x times x plus y times y. No, that's not. Let me switch over to this. Find length of line from points. Distance formula. Yeah. Square the result. So you subtract the coordinates. That gives us the actual. And then square the results. So, and then you add the squares, and then you take the square root. Jesus. Okay. Is that not what my magnitude is doing? Or is that that's not my cross product. Sorry, I'm like reading the code while I'm looking at this. Yeah, I'm not the best at math. So this is usually where I start to slow things down quite a bit and just triple check myself as I'm doing stuff. So I would do 4 minus 1. Yeah, 6 minus 2. So I would just do x2 minus x1. So effectively, it's the vector. I want the vector. And then I square the vector. Each value in the vector gets squared. I add them up. Okay, so yeah, that is what... Okay, that's what my magnitude is doing. Okay. At least according to that Google result, I square them. So when I do x times x and y times y, that's squaring them effectively. And then I add them, and then I get the square root of that. So my magnitude should give me the actual distance. That's exactly what I needed. So float total distance is equal to direction vector dot magnitude. Cool. Now, after I get the actual total distance, I can normalize it. And the reason I'm going to normalize it is because I want to get the midpoint of the line, right? So I think what I could do is if I take half the magnitude, and then I travel starting from the start point of the line to the half magnitude normalized direction vector of the line, that should give me the midpoint of the line where I can place the text. Let's try that. So what I need is measurement line start, and I need to take that times the direction vector time let me think through this before I actually commit to it. So I'm gonna take the start point of the line. I'm going to multiply that. Do I want to multiply it? Yeah, right? I multiply it times the direction vector because I want to travel along the line. And I want to travel halfway, meaning direction vector times the total distance divided by 2. I think that should give me the midpoint of the line. I think. We'll see. Singularity, point, midpoint. Okay. I can't multiply a point times a vector. At least my point does not have support for it. Do I have vector time? Let me see. Vector.hpp. Do I have support for vector times a point? No. Okay, let me see. Point HPP. Do I do anything with vector? I can add a vector, but I don't have support for multiplying a point times a vector. I'll just add it. Yeah. That's literally, I just want to do that right here. So point, return a new one, operator, and I'm going to take a vector 2D. Boom. Okay, now in point CPP, where's operator? Right here, the multiplication operator. So I'm going to return a new singularity point. I should probably also add a times equals here. That actually modifies the thing, but one thing at a time, I guess. Okay. So then literally all I want is x times other.x, y times other.y. Cool. All right. And then that fixes our error there. So that gives us the midpoint. And just to sanity check here, what I'll do is I'll render a point. Instead of rendering text for now, I'll just render a point. Or rather, I'll render a little square. It's not going to be exactly a point, but I just want to see that my midpoint is being calculated correctly. So I'll do singularity rectangle. And then we'll do x is going to be midpoint minus, I don't know, let's say I want the whole thing to be 4 meters across, so yeah, midpoint dot x minus 2. Damn to know what you're doing, but keep up the good work. Thanks, I appreciate that. Not Aniket, welcome to the stream. Right now I'm working on level editor for my game, and I'm setting up a measurement system. I want to be able to click on 2 points and measure the distance between them, just so that I can see how far things are, because I have a little lander that needs to fly through caves at some point in the game, and I want to be able to measure the sizing of the caves and make sure that I'm creating them in the correct size without having to necessarily fly, like switch into the game itself and try to fly it, which, you know, I will do that as well, but it's good to have the tools in the actual editor so that I can test stuff as I'm building it, you know. Okay, z index is gonna be 1,000. Let's say like 1,005 for now. And then color, I'll do it red, just so that it stands out. Boom. Okay. So that should place a red square on the center point. Oh, the center point of whatever measurement line I start to make. So we'll see. This build might be a little bit longer than the other ones because I modified a what's it called? A engine primitive here by adding to the point class. So we'll see. Oh man. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a bit of a longer build. It's already slowing down a bit. Let's see. I want to show you guys, while that's building, I'll show you guys a little bit of what I'm planning for the level. So this is going to be Act 0 effectively here. Very simple level, right? Nothing, it's not supposed to be anything crazy because this is going to be the place where the player kind of learns the ropes for the game. So it's going to be like a relatively small map. It's like, this is probably like maybe your first half hour of gameplay here. If that, like a fast player could probably do this in a few minutes. But, you know, as people are getting used to the physics and stuff like that, it gives you a little bit of a playground. It's basically a really deep crater on the surface of the moon, but like the bottom of it is flat. Whole thing is about 100 meters wide. And there's like this 2 levels of it, but like you see, it's very flat. That's super intentional here. I don't want the player to really have any crazy terrain to deal with. It's like, you know, it's your first time playing the game. So the idea is you've crashed, and there's going to be like a station module from the space station, and it broke in half, and half of it like lands up here with some blueprints that you can pick up for like crafting stuff, and then the other half lands over here with a fabricator inside of it, and it like crash lands, but the fabricator survives. The station module doesn't have power, so part of what you'll have to do is bring your lander in close to the station module and connect. The lander has, it's not currently implemented, but the lander has like a power distribution module, which is basically just like a power wire. So you can connect the power from the lander to the fabricator that's in the module, in the like station module, to power it up, and then that'll let you get your first little bit of crafting. And then over here, there's like a little crate that has some lunar regolith rock that has volatiles, which is basically like it might be like frozen oxygen, frozen water, anything like that. That would have been mined and maybe sent up to the station for distribution later, but the station crashes, right? So there's a crate here with some of that stuff that you can pick up. And then I added this tiny little cave just for some flavor, as like a little bit of a teaser for what is to come more towards, you know, later in the game after you're done with the tutorial area. But it's like a little early exploration site for people who started colonizing the moon before they really dedicated to it. They would have had like a little rover exploring some of the permanently shadowed regions of the moon. So there's gonna be a little rover in this cave that got crushed by like a collapsed regolith. And you can access the rover's terminal and read some of the logs that are in there, get a little bit of lore and some stuff like that. And then there's going to be some volatile bearing chunks in there as well that you can pick up. And the reason you care about these volatile bearing chunks is because that's how you actually get fuel. You basically take the volatile bearing chunks, and your lander has what's called an ISRU, in situ. Ooh, shit. What does the R stand for? It's refinement, resource unit, something like that. It's basically you're taking resources to use them. So the resource that you'd be using would be volatile bearing chunks that they have like the liquid oxygen or whatever inside the thing, and they would process the liquid oxygen and split it into whatever proponents that it needs, and you would effectively use that to create fuel or propellant or whatever. So you'd be able to gather a little bit of propellant from around here, And yeah, the whole point of this is teaching you the player how to land, how to refuel the spacecraft. It teaches the crafting system. You need the blueprints. You need the fabricator. It teaches you a little bit about the PDM, the power distribution module. Teaches a little bit about how the terminals work and all that. And then it really kind of sets up the story, like the beginning of the story for the game. That's kind of what I have here, just like a objective flow for how that works. But yeah, so that's what I've been working through the past few weeks, or the past, I guess, week, really, maybe week and a half, um, planning all that out. And then now that I have it planned out, I need to actually go and build it, you know. And so that's what we're doing. We're working on the level editor, getting it to a point where we can actually go and reliably build things quickly. Because I had it in a very rough state before, where it was just like, okay, the level editor exists. I can technically make a level and fly around in it, but it was lacking a lot of stuff. You know, I was just trying to get something so that I could have something to play with. You know, keep it up, dog. Great work. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate that, Abdullah. Welcome to the stream, by the way. Okay, so the build just finished, so we're gonna switch back over to that, and I can go ahead and hop into edit mode. Now, what should happen is when I use my measurement tool, I should actually see a dot at the midpoint. Something weird's going on. I switched into measurement mode. I clicked. Okay, where's my dot? At my midpoint. It's gonna be actually pretty small. I probably should have made it a little bigger because it's kind of hard to see it. Maybe I should have. Is it over here? No. Where is the dot? I mean, I could have just entirely fucked it up and it could not be along the line at all. Here's what I'll do. I'll make it way bigger. I'll make it like 100 meters in size. So minus 50, minus 50, 100, and 100. That I should definitely be able to see that. If I don't, something's wrong. And this build should be way faster. It's a very minor change. So, let's see. Oh, man. But yeah, I'm still, for the content of the game, I'm still kind of figuring out my flow here. It's not something I've ever done before, so it's a lot of trial and error and, like, figuring shit out, you know? Okay. Where is the red dot? It's nowhere, honestly. Not anywhere visible, so I definitely... Something about my math is wrong. It should be here somewhere, and it's not. I saw it for a split second, and then it was gone. Oh, you know what I think it is? I think I need... Because the midpoint... No. The midpoint is from the start of the line. One thing I'll do, just to make my life a little bit easier, I'm going to make this filled. It's not going to make a big difference, but the square is going to show up as filled instead of an outline. Okay. So my midpoint dot x minus 50. So I have my measurement line start, and I'm multiplying it times the direction vector, and then I'm multiplying the direction vector. Is that my issue? Is that like I'm multiplying instead of adding? Maybe that's what the problem is. I mean, I can just Google this. Traverse along line use vector. If I have a vector, the formula to find any position along a line is the position vector of the point you're traveling to, the position vector of the starting point, the direction vector. a scalar parameter that defines how far. Yeah, okay. So I have the position that I want to find, correct? Oh, so yeah, the start point plus the scalar times the vector. That's the problem. I'm multiplying, so I'm off by like a huge factor. That's the problem. Let me switch back over to the code. So it should literally be as simple as I'm plussing here instead of multiplying. We'll try that. And that should work this time. And then the other thing I want to do is add that times equals operator to the point. But maybe I'll do that off stream, because like every time I make changes to the like the engine primitives, it ends up being a really long build, and then I don't want to bore you guys watching my build. Okay, so no, so something's still off here. I saw it for a second, and then it just disappeared. Let me see. Okay. Let's try that one more time. Enter measurement mode, M. Oh yeah, okay. So it's scaling just really poorly. You see that? Like as I'm moving the line, it's going, but it's going way too far. What I need is to go half the line length. Okay. Fuck. Where did you learn C++, by the way? I taught it to myself. I've been writing code for like 10 years now. So, like, as you get more experience, you start to notice that like almost every language is the same thing with slightly different syntax. So one day I decided that I wanted to make my own programming language called Theta, just for the process of learning, because I just enjoy building shit. And I was like, well, I kind of also want to learn C++. So I learned C++ while building my own programming language. That was like, I want to say like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, something like that. And then, yeah, then from then I've just been kind of continuing to use it. I find the best way to learn almost anything is to just start using it, and then you'll figure it out along the way, you know, because you have to. Okay, so something about this, it's scaling really badly. Like, it's going in the right direction, so I know that my direction vector stuff is correct. I don't think that my magnitude would be wrong, because it's not like I use magnitude in a lot of places, so it can't be that the magnitude is wrong. It's just got to be something about this point here that I'm doing wrong. Is Theta available to level? Yeah, Theta, it's open source. I'll be honest, I never actually finished it. It was really fun working on it, but let me see. It should be on my GitHub public here. Yeah, it's right here. If you want to see it, it's just /thetalang/theta on GitHub. There's also like a website, like a mini website I built for it. It's a functional programming language. It's like statically typed and functional, and it compiles to WebAssembly. That was kind of like the big thing for it. And it really was just for fun. I didn't like design it with the intention that I ever thought somebody was going to use it. It was more of like I want the challenge of building something complicated. So yeah, that's that. Okay, back to the code. Okay, so I have my midpoint. I'm saying measurement line start, which makes sense since this is where I'm starting from, And I want to multiply it times the direction vector, which that also seems correct to me. Or sorry, I'm adding it with the direction vector. Let me look up that formula again. Traverse a long line using vector. I'm in Google right now. I'm just looking at the same thing we were looking at before. Here, let me switch back over. So, starting point of the vector. R is the position that we're targeting. We're the start point plus t being the scalar, which is a real number, which I want it to be half the distance, half the length of the line. Oh shit, wait. Yeah, no. Half the length of the line. So I'm multiplying that times the direction, which is exactly what I'm doing in the code. I'm saying total distance divided by 2. Let me actually clean this up just a little bit so that it's a little easier to read. Okay, so I take the start position of the line. I multiply that times the direction vector, or I add that with the direction vector, times total distance divided by 2. So direction vector times total distance is the magnitude. That should give me the total length of the line divided by 2. So I get half the length of the line, right? And then I multiply the direction vector times half the length of the line. That also seems correct to me. And then I add that. Like the other thing is the direction vector. Do I even need to do this normalization thing? Like, can't I just take the direction vector and divide it by 2? Can I just do that? Because the direction vector is already along the line. And if I divide both in half, both properties in half. Oh, but I do want the total distance, and that's why I do magnitude. Right, but I don't want to... Maybe it's my normalization here. Like, what if I remove the normalization, and then I take that divided by 2. So I'm taking the entire vector, not normalized, dividing it by 2. And that should be the same thing. I don't know why this would fix it though, realistically, because that should be the same thing as what I already have. Unless it's my rendering that's wrong. But it shouldn't be. Midpoint X and midpoint Y. Let's see. If this still doesn't work, we're gonna have to start like actually looking at the numbers. Okay, that works. That's in the middle. So why was it that when I normalized it and then multiplied it times half the distance? Because that should have... I would have expected that to work. Wow, weird. Okay, but anyway, that's what I wanted. It's in the middle of the line. Now what I can do is I can actually place the text there instead. Okay. So then Singularity, typography manager, and then render text. The text that I'm going to render is the total distance. So total distance. Font size, let's say 16 pixels. Color, I'll do white. But it's not Singularity, it's game theme manager. Get current theme, text primary. This is the font that I use for everything. And then the render rect, which is just, hey, where are we rendering this text? To do that effectively, what I need is I need to figure out the size of the text first. Actually, let me put that as a placeholder there, so I remember that I need to put a rectangle in there. Okay, so typography manager. I'm going to use typography manager. There's a text. Is it get text dimensions? Yeah. And then let me make a string here. Distance text is equal to string total distance. And that way I'm not allocating a string twice for no reason. Distance text. Uh, 16 pixels, font size yet again, and then same thing, fonts, departure, mono, OTF. Cool. Now that'll give me a, what does this return again? Dimensions. Singularity. Typography manager. Dimensions. Text. Dimensions. Okay. That'll get text dimensions. Cool. So then again in here, I do distance text, blah, 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 whatever. Now, what I want is I have the dimensions of the text that's going to get rendered into the screen. I need to, actually, let me see. There's, yeah, okay. So it also takes in my z index. We'll do 1005. And then is UI, I'm going to set to true. I'm going to have this render in UI space. Because it's easier that way than, because I don't want to render 16 pixels text in world space and then have to adjust it based off of the zoom of the camera. That's kind of weird. So I want to render I can render the line in world space, that's fine, but I want to render the actual text in UI space. Just makes my life easier in screen space, you know. So then here, the positioning would be, I need to figure out I need the midpoint converted to screen position. So what I need to do is Singularity render pipeline get camera dot world to screen midpoint, right? World to screen though, that gives me an SDLF point. So then I need a Singularity point from SDLF point. Okay, and then that gives me a point screen midpoint, let's call it, because it's the midpoint, but it's in screen coordinates. Yes, I did mean lowercase. Okay. So then now what I want to do is I want to take screen midpoint dot x. I'll subtract the text dimensions dot width divided by 2 to center it on the x-axis. And then I'll take screen midpoint y minus text dimensions dot height divided by 2. And then just text dimensions dot width for the width of the rectangle and text dimensions dot height for the height of it. And that should be good. And then I think I can go ahead and get rid of this. red rectangle that we were drawing before. We'll try to build that, see what happens. That should work. But yeah, you see, it's a good thing I moved this into its own function, right? Because like this grew a lot. Even just like calculating the midpoint and then rendering text, you know? That would have been ugly to have in our main render loop. Would have been a lot of cognitive load that we would have to parse through just to ignore if we were looking for something else, you know? Okay, so let's try it. I'm going to start, and look at that. Now, it's ugly, right? It like intercepts really weirdly. But it works. And I think what I'll do is maybe I don't know, I'll put like a box around it or something. Maybe I'll put the points, I'll render some points for it. Make it look a little cleaned up, you know? I think that's what I'll do. But it works. And I also need to clean up the actual text itself. What I'll do, I don't want any trailing zeros. So I'll do a string stream to hold the distance text. And then I will just shovel that in there. Total distance. And by doing that, when you use a string stream, it actually the string stream, the way it's the built-in already will remove any trailing zeros. And then here I just do str, and then same thing here, str. Boom. Simple. Okay. Now around the actual typography, I think I want to generalize this a little bit. I want to draw that little rectangle around it, right? Just to make it a little cleaner. I'm thinking, because I was gonna just use this rectangle verbatim, but I want there to be a little bit of padding, you know, around the actual text, so that it's not literally touching the edges of the rectangle that's containing it. Do I even need to do that? Like, am I overcomplicating this? Because it's like, this is like, why, right? Nah, it'll look good. It'll look nice. It'll look nice. It's worth making things that look nice. Yeah. What I'll do is screen midpoint. So I'll take this and I'll abstract it into a rectangle that I can reuse. The reason I'm doing that is that way I don't have to define that shit twice. Because I just pass text container in there, right? But before I do that, I can also take my render pipeline and I render a rectangle in Q renderable. Geometry is going to be effectively the text container, but I want some padding, right? Like, let's say I want to do 5 pixels of padding. So I'll do text container dot x minus -10. No. -20. No, -10. If I want 10 pixels of padding, I'm pretty sure it's -10. I might be wrong, but we'll see. .y -10. And then the width is going to be .w plus 20, because we'll have padding on both sides, right? .w plus 20. I think I want more padding on the left and right than on the top and bottom. So let's say I just make the top and bottom 5. Meaning this needs to be 10. Okay. Now, z index is going to be 1005, like just like the other thing. And then color, we'll do, I want to do it white. Theme manager, get current theme, dot text primary, boom. And then filled, it's going to be true. One other thing I'm going to do, screen space. Oh, what did I call it again? Oh, coordinate space. Coordinate space screen, because I want to render this in screen space. No matching constructor. It doesn't know if I want it to be that I want it to be a rectangle for some reason. There. Now you know it's a rectangle, right, buddy? Okay. So that'll render a rectangle. Now, to make this look good, what I need to do is I need to change this from white. I'll make it... I'm pretty sure background is like basically black. So it'll be black on white. That should look decent. Let's see. And then after that, I just need to add the actual dots. And there was a little bug with like being able to exit out of measurement, which not really a bug. I just haven't implemented it yet, I guess. But when I'm in measurement mode, if I've measured a line, then I can't ever measure a new line right now, at least. Okay. So we'll enter measurement mode. Yeah, there we go. That looks pretty decent. And now we have the zeros being trimmed, and now it's like nice and legit. Boom. Now we know that from here to here it's about 400 meters, 392. Does that look right? Is that really 300? It's like 300 meters this way. About, yeah, that seems about right. Okay. Cool. Hunter developer, any advice to a 16-year-old learning programmer? Dude, I started when I was 16 too. So you're in the right place. I spend so much time writing code. Like, just write all the code. All the code that you can. Even if it's bad, just spend a bunch of time writing code. That's the only way you're gonna get good, is like you write a bunch of bad code so that you know what bad code looks like, so that you can write good code later. But yeah, I started roughly when I was 16. Technically I started when I was 15. I think like about to turn 16 or something like that. And then I spent like many hours writing code, like HTML and CSS, JavaScript, and just building like little websites, little toys and stuff like that. Attending hackathons, those are super fun. You get a bunch of swag, you meet cool people. It's a good time. And then I got hired when I was 16. It was a different time, but I ended up dropping out of high school to pursue my career. But yeah, just spend a lot of time writing code. I have like 5 years of experience in programming, and I'm extremely good at math, but I still think I'm missing something. Yeah, math helps, don't get me wrong. You, depending on what you end up doing, you actually end up using surprisingly little math. Like if you want to do web dev, you're not really gonna use math, right? If you want to do game development, you're gonna need like trigonometry and algebra and that kind of thing. But even then, like maybe a little bit of calculus, really nothing crazy. But I think like build shit, man. Like build stuff. That's the best way you're gonna get good. Like what I would do if I were you, if you don't already do this, like keep a list of all the like ideas that pop into your head of like random things to build, and just go through it and build all of them. You know, especially now with AI, don't rely on AI to write the code for you, because then you're not going to learn anything. But if you use AI as something to help guide you, it can be useful. You know, it's a lot easier now to be able to say I can build pretty much anything than it used to be. Because you can have AI walk you through all the things that you don't know, you know? But that's awesome, dude. It's always exciting when someone's learning how to code or getting better at how to code. It sounds like you already know more or less how to code. What languages have you been using for the past 5 years? Okay, I'm gonna also, what I want to do is I want to render those points where the line is onto the screen. Should I just render the whole line in screen space? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if I render the whole line in screen space, to be honest. I made my own AI. Well, it's still sort of in development, but I only use AI to help me get better ideas. That's awesome, dude. I've been using C++. I've learned Python, HTML, and Java, but I'm getting into Lua now. Those are all really solid languages. Which of those would you say is your favorite? And like, what did you use to build the AI? How does that work? I'm curious. That's something that I haven't done myself yet. Singularity. What am I doing? Oh, I'm drawing the dots for the lines. Okay, the endpoints. And then for the endpoints, we'll use coordinate space screen again. And then geometry is going to be a rectangle again. We'll do one for the start point and one for the end point. So what I need actually is, what did I call it? Measurement line. I need to convert each of those points to screen space. So I effectively have to do this crap over here. Where is it? That I need to take it, put it over here, and then screen start point. I'll just take the measurement line, start, not reset, start, and then that'll give me my screen start point, and I'll do the same thing with the end point. Screen endpoint end. Honestly, Python, I love Python because once you learn this one, the rest of them are easy to learn. And for my AI, it's like software, I use Python for it. I tried to use assembly since I was kind of familiar with it, but it was a horrible fail. I feel that, man. Yeah, Python, honestly, I like that for you, man. I'm glad you like Python. I personally really don't like Python. There's nothing wrong with the language itself, and it's good for, it's the right tool for a lot of jobs. It's just, for me, I hate the white space based syntax. It kills me, man. Like anytime I would want to use Python, for me, I'm just like, I'd just rather use Ruby, you know? It's the same in terms of capability, except, you know, I don't have to worry about white space, you know? So, but I agree with you that, like, honestly, I feel like with any language, really, like once you learn it, like the rest kind of fall into place. Because like the concepts are the same, you know. It seems like you know that. So any language you would have started with, except for like a small handful of very specific languages, it transfers over. Like if you start with Haskell, that doesn't transfer over to like anything. But also, who's starting with Haskell, you know? But like any language you pick, you'll be able to, once you really learn it, you get the concepts, you can pick up any other language pretty quickly. I'm talking like, you know, weeks, probably. Oh, so sorry about the typos. Oh, no worries, dude. I don't care. I can read what you're saying. So I haven't asked you yet, what are you working on currently? I'm working on a space-based game. Jesus. I'm working on a space game. It's called Descent Horizon, and it's a 2D game where you fly a lunar lander, and you try to survive. It has like real physics. I can show you what what it looks like. This is very heavily in development, so it's missing a lot of stuff. But yeah, you fly the lander, you can land on the surface of the moon, you can EVA, and it's narrative driven, so there's a story behind everything. But you spawn in, you're falling from the sky, you can use a terminal that's inside the game, and you control certain parts of the lander using the terminal. So for example, I just started a LiDAR scanner using the terminal. So right now it's scanning the terrain below me, so that I can see where to land, right? Because like right now I can't see what's below me. I have no clue where to land. So the LiDAR scanner is giving me like a little scan of the terrain below me, and I have some idea what's going on down there. So once I pick a landing spot, I can go ahead and start to slow down a little bit, right? And then as I get lower, I'm burning my fuel, right? So my fuel is going down, that's lowering my mass. It's changing the way that the ship flies a little bit. I can control the throttle if I want to, and increase the throttle, decrease the throttle. And then you deploy your landing gears. That changes a little bit how the ship flies. And then boom, touchdown, right? Then once you've landed, you can perform an operations check to see how your systems are doing. In this case, I basically performed a perfect landing, so my legs didn't get damaged, my hull didn't get damaged, everything's good, you know. But like I could have theoretically performed a pretty bad landing and broken off one of my landing legs or something like that. But yeah, and then like there's a lot of like terminals around the world that you can interact with. Right now, there's really not much that I can show you because it's so early in development. But the Landers terminal is a pretty good example of it. So like you can view, like, let's say a lot of the story is going to be from you finding log entries, but you have to explore the terminals in the game to find them. So like you would have to, like, let's say, use the help command to see what commands this specific terminal has, and each terminal might have a different set of commands depending on what software is installed on it. But then I could say, oh well, I see that there's a command here called log, right? So I could do log, like help log, right? See what that's all about. And then okay, well, I can access mission logs, right? So log list, and now I can view a list of logs that are on this computer, right? So I can say log view, I don't know, 4, right? And then that lets me read log 4, you know, and then that I would get some amount of lore or something like that from that, you know. And then yeah, and then once you can also hop out. Oh geez, sometimes I get this bug where shit just goes crazy, and then I have to kill the game. Give me a sec. It's it goes crazy. It's like there's something weird with the UI there, but it's pretty rare, and I've not had a very easy time of diagnosing it. Not that I've really spent much time looking into it, just haven't bothered. Anyway, I'll show the landing one more time and try to hop out one more time for you here. And you can also like change the scanner angle, so I can point it in any direction I want. So like I can change the angle to 130, right? But most of the time you probably want to scan down. And then while you're, you know, descending, there's usually also debris from the space station that's falling around you, so you got to kind of dodge that and not get killed. There's not that much of it right now because it's not really tuned yet, but it happens, I assure you. And then the lander has like a cargo storage area. As you're exploring, you can collect stuff. You have limited oxygen while you're in EVA mode, so and then however much stuff is in your inventory, everything has a weight in the game, so what's in your inventory will influence how much weight you have, which influences how much oxygen you use as you're exploring. So you don't want to carry too much on you, so you can put stuff into your lander's cargo hold, but again, everything has a weight, so the stuff that's in your cargo hold, depending on how you organize it, actually changes how the lander flies. So for example, like something fell over here, so I can actually show the pretty good example here. Jeez. That's a bug there. But I can grab this alloy, right? So it crashed. I can grab some scraps from there. Boom. Now I can bring that back to my lander. If I place these scraps like in a really bad place, like really like off center of gravity, like to the left and then high up, you can see like the lander is kind of skewed to the left here. So when I try to fly the lander, it's literally going to start veering off to the left, and I'm going to have to correct for that. So in general, what I want to do instead is I want to try to like keep things low down to the center of gravity and try to keep things balanced, you know. And then I can use that stuff to craft eventually. So like I have a blueprint. Like let's say I broke off my landing leg, I could craft another one. If I was to collect 3 alloy, a circuit, and two actuators, I'd be able to go to a fabricator, which I have over here. And then I'd be able to use the fabricator to then craft a new landing leg. So like for example, I can see what things I can craft. I can select the first blueprint, which is the landing leg, and then here I would slot things in. I don't have all the ingredients right now to actually craft it, so I won't be able to do it, but yeah. But there's like a whole story and stuff like that. Looks awesome, not gonna lie. The interface is very cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. That is some neat use of physics and character handling. Thank you. Yeah, it's I've tried to get creative with it, but I also want to keep it, you know, physically grounded because I feel like it's more fun when like a science or like a space game has real physics, you know what I mean? Gives me those retro vibes. Love it. Thanks, man. I appreciate the support. It's good to see when people like what I'm working on, you know? But yeah, I've built the whole, like my goal with the game is I'm trying to build everything from scratch. So the engine is built from scratch using SDL for the window management. Physics was written by hand. Collision detection written by hand. The level editor is what I'm working on right now for the game. It's also written by hand. Everything in the game is made by hand, including the art and like any sounds and all the music and stuff like that. Right now there's not really any sound or music in the game, but it will once it's implemented. The goal is also to have it be done by me. I just kind of want to see how far I can get, you know, just all me. Okay, so we'll do screen start point X. And how big do I want to make this? Let's say I make this, for now I'll make it 10 pixels. So -5. Screen start point dot Y -5 and then 10 pixels in both dimensions. Build is true. I think color comes before that. Color. That's gonna be game. Theme manager. Get current theme. Text primary. I want it to be the same color as the line. Well, that's impressive, man. Hope it does good on release. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, I hope so too. But honestly, I'm like, I hope it does good on release. But I'm building it for myself, you know. So even if it doesn't, I'll still feel accomplished with having done something, you know, with having built something. But you know, I'll be happy if it does good. Don't get me wrong. But even if it doesn't, you know. That being said, I do have a very early page set up just so that like anybody who's interested can check it out, or wish list or whatever. I just do that into the chat. I figure since we're talking about it. But yeah, obviously the game's like super early in development right now. There's still just like so much to do that like the game doesn't really look like what it's gonna look like when it's done. But I've had people ask where to wish list and stuff in the past, so I figured I'd create a Steam page for it, honestly way earlier than I planned on doing it. But endpoint, boom. Okay, that should be it for the endpoints. Let's see. Rebuild. Ah, man. That's in, yeah, it's already in screen space. I think that, no, that's not what I want. It's running the game. I don't want to run the game. I want to run the editor. Yeah, I've like made my own software engine thing, and this was like my first project after learning advanced Python HTML. I made like a software that returns you the binary data of a file. That's cool. That's really cool. And the binary data of like any sort of file that contains the software. No, that's really interesting. Um, how long did it take you to build that? Okay, that's too big. I don't like how big the, yeah, those are like a little too big for me. Um, I'll do, honestly, like half that size is probably what I want. Yeah, but that does work. So let's say it's going to be 4 by 4. And then -2, -2. -2, -2. Boom. Okay, now that works. Okay, I'm confident that that's going to look how I want it to. What I want to do now is in my map edit scene, I think I have an on escape pressed. I need to switch from is actively measuring is false. And then I also need to clear out the line. So measurement line equals null opt. Yeah. I think that should do it. I think that should be everything. Let's try that. Honestly, it took me a few weeks because I was also learning about binary data and other stuff about how a computer works and such, as well as writing the code to get the data. Okay, okay. That's cool, though. It sounds like a good project. Sounds like you learned a lot. What would you say is like the most surprising thing that you learned while you were working on that? Okay, that looks good. Measurement looks fine. Then I can escape. Measurement's gone. And if I go back into measurement mode, lines perfect. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. I'm happy with that. Now I can actually measure shit. So let's say I'm going to switch over to collider mode. I'm going to import act 0. I'm going to make pixels per unit something like 1.1. What the hell is going on? Try that again. 1.1. Why is this still focus? 1. That's weird. Some bug here. Is it because I'm gonna switch to collider mode. I'm gonna pick up act 0 concept. Okay. I can place colliders. Okay. Okay. Switch 1.1. Yeah. Then I can't click out. What happened? Very weird. And then now I can't escape. I can't. It's interesting. The most surprising thing I learned is the fact that we humans design computers to work like us, like how our body has binary data on DNA and our DNA, and we sort of made computers work like this too. Okay, can you elaborate on that? I don't know if I fully understand what you mean by that. Because I know we can represent our DNA using binary, but are you saying that our actual DNA is encoding binary data? Is that like... yeah. I want to know a little bit more about what you mean. Okay, so collider edit, not input behavior, collider edit behavior. When I where was it? The input? No. Yeah, PPU input. When I click focus, I on focus PPU input, okay. PPU input focused, and then I set the active behavior to number field input behavior, okay. Yes. Okay, and then on, yeah, on blur input behavior, and then it restores previous behavior. So that, let me see out here. Yeah, the way your hair color is because of genetic data and your chromosomes provide. So like ABB could mean red hair in the rDNA code, then 101011 could mean the letter in the hair in the computer world. Okay, I get what you mean. That's interesting. Okay. So I import a reference. I go to Act 0. I go here, 1.1, and then I click off. Yeah, it's not. It's supposed to trigger an on blur event, but it's not doing that. Why isn't it doing that? On blur. Where is this being called? On mouse click, if is editing collider, okay. If PPU input focused, and then not clicked input. Let me see something. Is the click even registering? What time is it for you? Right now it's 12:46 a.m. I'm on Eastern Standard Time, so it's a little late. How about you? Okay, try that again. Okay, click registered 1.1, and then when I click away, yeah, as soon as I click, what the hell? It's not registering my click anymore. Why? Collider edit behavior. It's not even registering my click anymore. Oh, same here. I'm in Eastern Standard Time. Okay, okay, cool. We're neighbors then. So why would this on mouse click? Oh, I know why. Because when I switch over to, where was it? This wasn't the case before. This is not how it worked before. But where was this being called again? On blur PPU input. Yeah, so when I focus the PPU input, I switch my active behavior, which switches me off of the collider edit input behavior, which is what breaks this, because now I don't have that mouse listener anymore. Yeah. Fuck. Huh. So I mean, because recently as part of this stream, what I did was I moved the collider controls over into its own input behavior, and they did not used to be part of an input behavior. Yeah, that's the problem. How do I want to handle this? If because I basically I still want, okay. I want to be able to click outside of the little input box. Like that should work fine. That almost means that like the on click event can't be part of the input behavior, but almost the whole reason why I created the input behavior is so that I could put the on click in there, so that I could unregister the on click event, so that I wouldn't be able to edit colliders at the same time or have to worry about other state. I mean, I can have two separate clicks. I can have my collider edit behavior click for the main like clicking shit. For like the any clicking that has to do with the collider edit behavior can still be part of that, of its input behavior. And then for the PPU stuff, I can put that on like a generic mouse click listener. Does that even work? I mean, honestly, the PPU, the where was it? Number field input behavior. It could have its own thing where it has an on click and it tries to see if when you click, if you clicked outside. I feel like that's probably cleaner. If it checks to see if you clicked outside of the input that it's tied to, then it exits. I think that's probably what I want to do here. Okay, so number field input behavior. I need some way of, does input accumulator? Yeah, okay, I need some way of saying that the input element is equal to, let me just go here, collider edit, on blur. Okay, yeah, so this is what I want to do. I want to pass in that child, the reference image control panel PPU input. I'm currently programming a game engine right now. Oh, that's cool, dude. We're twins. I'm doing the same thing. What are you writing your language, your game engine in? Okay, so child. Yeah. Okay. So the number field input behavior, it needs a mouse click. Where is this? Collider edit input behavior, mouse click. Okay. So I need this number field input behavior. Okay. And then what I need to do here is input element dependencies element. Yeah. And then basically on blur fuck on, I can't type on blur. Yeah, I just need to take input element pointer region contains. So I just check if the input element pointer region if it doesn't contain an, like the thing, then I just return. If it doesn't contain the yeah. Okay. Input behavior dependencies needs to take in, that's going to be a shared pointer. Input accumulator. To a UI element. No. What I think I'm going to do, I'm going to make it so that an input accumulator can have a related element if I want to set it. I think that's a little cleaner. So input accumulator dot element, yeah, and then input now. What does on blur do? I can have the accumulator taken in on blur as well. Trying to recreate Unreal Engine, I'm going to use Python and make the language C++. So you're gonna recreate Unreal Engine in Python, and you're gonna make it possible to use C++ in the engine. Is that what you're saying? Input accumulator. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to add function here. Something like set associated element. That's going to take in a shared pointer. And then UI element. Why is it? Okay, import that. All right, and then element equals L. All right, now I have to actually store that too. Okay. Yeah, that should be good. Honestly, yeah, I'll make it. I'll make that public, to be honest. Fuck it. And then I don't even need this. I can just, yeah. Cool. Now I have the element on there, and what I need is some sort of way of actually calling a callback here, because I don't have any way of doing that right now. Maybe like an on exit or on blur function. I think, yeah. Return nothing, take nothing. On, yeah, on blur, fine. And then that'll be settable. And then if input accumulator on blur, then I'll call it. There you go. Okay, so what that lets me do then is on focus PPU input, pass in that. I don't need the input element in here. Well, sorry, I don't need to pass it in here, but what I need to do is in the input accumulator, I set it like that. And then I also need to input accumulator on blur. I want to call on blur. Is that what I called it? On blur PPU input. And then that actually needs to be wrapped in a little lambda. No, so I'm going to use Python and try to recreate the engine like a software and then make the programming language for the engine C++. Yeah, I mean, that's what I feel like that's what I said. Just because you're saying you're gonna build the engine in Python, right? And then you're going to, whoever uses the engine can use C++. Or am I mistaken there? Okay. Oh, sorry. I think I heard you wrong. Yeah, it's possible. I could also be wrong. Maybe I misunderstood you. But I think I get what you're saying. That's cool. Why not at that point, like, why not just let people, like, why not just write the actual engine in C++ as well? Like, what do you feel like is the benefit there of using Python? Input accumulator on blur PPU. Okay, so that's good. And then in on blur PPU input, what I need to do is all of that stuff. And then I'm going to restore previous behavior, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it on the next tick, since now I'm going to be inside of a callback. So runtime scheduler, run next tick. Now I do need one other thing, because basically on blur PPU input, yeah, I set the value here to be nothing. I can just do that in here. And instead of that, I'm just gonna call reset. And then I'll have that function be a function that effectively resets everything. So then that'll reset the value, it'll clear out the element, and then it'll reset the on blur. So value is going to be empty. Element, null pointer, and then on blur, just back to being an empty thing. Does that do what I want? Input accumulator reset. Need to capture in here. Well, by using Python, it'll be easier to manage the physics and other stuff when actually creating a game like servers and such, and using C++ to actually make the games because it's more reliable. I'm not sure I totally agree with you about managing the physics and stuff being easier with Python. Why do you feel that way? Because like, are you saying that there's like Python libraries that you want to use to manage the physics so that like you don't write it yourself? Because I feel like even then you can still probably find a library in C++ for managing physics. The thing that would concern me is, again, not saying it's not doable, but like I would almost swap the direction of how you're doing things. I would say build the engine in C++, so that then you can get all the performance benefits of like the speed and like the low levelness of C++ for all the physics and collision detection and stuff like that, and then allow people who are using the engine to write stuff in Python, and then that way they have the ease of like developing stuff. You know, they don't have to use a super low level language to develop their games, but then they still get the benefits of a lower level language in the engine. You know, you can expose like functions inside of the Python that call into your engine stuff that ends up using the C++. That might be a little more sustainable. Okay. Let's see if this worked. Let's switch into collider edit mode. I'm going to import a reference. I'm going to import act 0. Click here. 1.1. I click out. And nothing happened. Did I fuck something up? Oh, I know what I did. Well, no, did I even do that? Let me see. Number field input behavior. Oops. Field input. Yeah. I need the C++ file. Why is it not finding? That's so weird. It wasn't. Whoa. Did I misname this file? Number field input accumulator. What? This definitely is named wrong. Number field input behavior. Jeez. Okay. Now, if... Wait. I think I got this backwards. So if the pointer region doesn't contain, I want to return. I want to do the opposite. If the pointer region does contain, then I return. Yeah. That's the problem. I think once I fix this bug, I'm probably gonna call it a night here. It's been productive, but I'm tired. So weird that I had that named wrong. That's interesting. It's not like me. You use VS Code? No, I'm using NeoVim. So NeoVim along with tmux. I like to do everything in the terminal as much as I can. So what you're looking at right now is literally just my terminal. And then tmux I use to split my my terminal into multiple panes. So like the bottom section is my like split pane, and the top section is NeoVim. Oh, my dad uses that? Yeah, dude, NeoVim is awesome. Your dad is awesome if he uses NeoVim. He knows what he's doing. Wow, just renaming that file, like, really made my build a lot slower. Like, I'm rebuilding a lot more than I would have thought, just because I renamed number field input behavior. There's something weird that's going on in my build if that's what happened right now, just from me renaming some file that not a lot of things rely on, unless I'm like accidentally requiring it somewhere. He's a software engineer and stuff. His portfolio is insane. He's got a gift for this. That's awesome, man. Sounds like you got someone really good to learn from. It's fucking awesome. It's great to have somebody that can like guide you, because there's so much in software engineering, you know. Exact behavior. I'm like reviewing my code here, make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, and then actually, I don't need here anymore, because now I'm doing that in the behavior for the number field, so I can get rid of that too. Clean things up a little bit while I'm here. And then I'll remove the click registered stuff for now as well. Yeah, only reason I'm so intelligent in this stuff is because of him. I look up to him a lot. He actually pulled my mom by fixing her computer's operating system and leaving a cute message. LOL. Oh, that's nice. Dad's an OG. That's cute. That's a cute meet cute. Cute meet cute. Yeah, cute story for meeting. Damn, this build is insane. Very slow build. What was the message you left for her? I have a similar story with my wife. Not exactly the same, but I broke into her phone when we first met, and I like put my own number into her phone. I texted myself. and that was like the first day that we met. Rust compile time is getting really good, especially if you don't depend on a C compiler. Pure Rust, then it runs Rust LLD linker and has a great built-in cache. Yeah, when I was using Rust for Substrate, it was actually really fast. Like, I don't remember ever waiting for like compilations. Like, it was pretty much instant. Like Rust, I gotta say, they have their shit down really well. I wish I could get past the syntax of the language, because like something like for me, I don't know if it's just my style of writing Rust code, I just felt like Rust looked so ugly, and I was like actively getting annoyed at myself when I was trying to write like Rust code that looked clean, but then I would have to fight the borrow checker just to make things look the way I wanted to, or like flow the way I wanted to, and it was like stressing me out. I can see the appeal of the language for sure, but it was like an animation of a heart when she opened her computer saying you're welcome. Oh, that's cute. That's really nice. Did you know Bun version 1.4 releasing soon is 100% vibe coded in Rust? Original Bun was released mostly by hand in Zig. I heard something about that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I saw something online. I don't know if like the Permission or someone was talking about it, where it was literally that, like they was it Anthropic or someone, they took Bun and just told like let Claude go at it for like hours in a loop or something until it rebuilt Bun or something like that, and it got like way faster apparently, or something like that. Or am I thinking of something else? I don't know. I remember there was a story that was like that. I think it was Bun, but I could be wrong. But yeah, that's crazy. Okay, let me import this again, act 0. And then I'm in here, 1.1, I click out, boom. Okay, there we go. That's nice and clean, and that worked. That's the most important thing. Now I need to make sure, am I back in Collider edit mode? I am. Okay. Boom, that just works. I can delete that, I can go back in here, switch that back to 1, click out. Beautiful. Beautiful, okay. Yeah, that all works. And then now, I'm going to switch this to 1.1, because I think 1.1 was the PPU that I needed it to be for it to actually match up, so that this is actually 800 meters across or something like that. And then here, what I would want to do is I want to say, hey, I want to measure this. Measure from here. Ooh, okay. Something's weird. Oh, I know what happened. I went into measure mode and then I clicked, but that actually clicked on the reference image. Fuck. Anthropic bought Bun's company and the dev team, and yes, they completely ported it and all the tests passed now. Okay. I thought that was it. Jeez. Yeah, in the world we live in now, huh? Shit changes so quickly. I need to think of a good way of solving this, because when I click on, let me see, in the collider edit behavior, if I'm in map edit mode, how is that even a problem? Because the collider edit okay, where was it? It's reference image. No. Reference image pointer region? Yeah. I need to find, where I create the pointer region on, yeah. Okay. So it's right here. And then it's on reference image click. Now that whenever I have a pointer region or like a UI element that has an on click handler, that doesn't go through the input controller. That's like its own system. And And that's kind of the problem here is we have the pointer regions on click firing, even though the input controller doesn't have a mouse click and we're in the measurement mode. It's firing the reference image click through the pointer region. I need a way of like ignoring it. What I could do, I mean, I could do this. Common input controller. What was it? Input controller. I feel like it was is. Do I not have that in here? I'm looking for. I have a function where I want to have a function where I can check if the current behavior is an instance of some class. I don't think I have it in here. Is that in a different controller? Behavior controller, maybe? Behavior control. Yeah. And then where is it? Is current behavior instance of. Yeah. I think I just want to copy this over, basically, into my input controller. Yeah. Is current behavior, and then input behavior. Yeah. Okay. Then I want to get instance. Yeah. Get instance. Current behavior. Yep. Okay. So then what I want to do is current behavior instance of collider edit input behavior. And I want to check if it's not that. If that's not our current behavior, I want to return. So let me just clean this up a tiny bit. Yeah. Cool. Fable AI is kind of scary though. Imagine if a hacker found it, like it was so good, it scared the government. Honestly, I feel like that's like a publicity stunt. I'm not gonna lie. It's been like it seems like a good LLM, right? Don't get me wrong, but every time a new like model comes out, it's like, oh, this is too good. We gotta hide it. We can't release this. It's gonna destroy the world. And it's been that since like GPT-3, you know. And I feel like people are finally starting to catch on, and so they're like, you know what we gotta do? We gotta get Trump in on this, you know, and like really drive home that like, man, this thing is too scary. It's too powerful to be released, you know. That's my take. I'm probably wrong, but let's see. So we added, yeah, so if the current behavior is not the collider edit input behavior, we just return. That's like the simplest, like, we can just straight up ignore the reference image click from that. I think that's clean. But there was proof they set up a cage for it, like a trap, and I was able to break out of it and even point its own flaws. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, like I said, I think it's a good model. But like models have been able to do this since GPT-4. You know, I don't know. Like we've had models that are able to point out like 0 days for a while. It's not. This is not new to Fable or Mythos. Honestly, Fable Mythos's abilities are real, but trying to export controller isn't going to stop people. Other models from other countries are only a few weeks, months away from having this capability. Yeah, I agree entirely. I feel like export control with anything that's like inherently web-based is really tough. Like, what are you gonna do? You know, like it's very hard to control bits on the internet. The Real British Teacup says hello. Welcome, man. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. Make yourself at home, buddy. Okay, it looks like that build finished. Okay. So we're gonna import reference. We're gonna go to the concept. We're gonna go in here, go into measurement mode, and we're gonna click here, and then we're gonna click here, and then boom, we didn't activate the movement of the thing. Cool. So, and then that seems roughly accurate in terms of the distance. 24 point, yeah. I think that's good. I think that's what we want. And then, yeah, I can leave. I can click. Cool. Yeah, that works. Well, that works. Trying to think if there's anything I'm missing. I want, like, if there's any flow that I want to test here. I feel like there was something that I had thought of that just escaped me. I can measure the points, the distance. Was there any, like, oh, you know what? That was the other thing I wanted to do. Like right now, when you're in measure mode, you literally cannot tell at all. Like you're in measure mode, but you literally, there's like no way for you to see that you are. So maybe that's, I need to change the cursor or something if you go into measure mode. That's probably a good next thing to do, but I'll probably do that another time. So I'm getting tired. Getting real tired. So I think I'm gonna call it here actually. Got a lot done. It's been a good stream. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. It was really good. Great. See how tired I am? I can't even talk. It was really good chatting with everybody. I'll hopefully see you all next week. Anybody who's interested in the game wants to check it out. I didn't really get to show it too much on the stream today, but there's !Steam to check it out. But yeah, I'll see you guys all soon. Have a good night, Corbin. Good night, Hunter. It was good to meet you guys, or meet you, Hunter. I know you, Corbin. It's good to see you again, man. All right. See you guys.